To the world, they were the definition of a power couple. Chloe and Maxwell, a flawless team, running an empire, living a fairy tale. They didn't just have money, they had billions, built on Chloe's cutting-edge tech firm, Global Innovations. Maxwell, tall, charming, and perpetually smiling, was the golden face of the business. Chloe, the true billionaire CEO and genius, was the quiet force, the one with the vision. Every glossy magazine, every major social media feed featured them, the ultimate success story. They lived in a jaw-dropping penthouse that sat atop the city, a sanctuary of glass and marble. It was a life most people only dreamed of, and in public, Maxwell treated Chloe like his queen. He'd open her car door, whisper sweet things at dinners, and praise her brilliance to every investor. Their love looked rock solid. It looked perfect. But their home wasn't a sanctuary. It was a stage. Behind those flawless smiles, their empire was rotten. Maxwell wasn't just charming, he was a thief. For months, he had been meticulously, brutally stealing from Chloe. He wasn't just draining her personal fortune, he was systematically lifting her most sensitive, high-value intellectual property, the next generation of tech, and funneling it all to their biggest competitor. The recipient of this betrayal? Mark, a ruthless corporate rival who Maxwell had been secretly conspiring with, plotting to gut Global Innovations from the inside. The plan was simple: steal Chloe's genius, sell it for a massive payday, and leave her wife with a shell of a company and a heartbreak she wouldn't recover from. In the midst of this deceit was a silent witness, Sarah, the house manager. Sarah had worked for Chloe for years. She was gentle and fiercely loyal, and she saw everything. She noticed Maxwell's furtive late-night calls, the locked study doors, and the nervousness that would flash across his face when Chloe was home. She knew the terrible, soul-crushing secret. Sarah ached to tell Chloe, but fear was a heavy cloak. If Maxwell caught her, he'd not only fire her, but likely ruin her life. If she spoke, and Chloe didn't believe her because Maxwell was such a convincing liar, Sarah would be out, disgraced, with nowhere to go. She was just a help after all. What voice did a house manager have against the powerful, cheating husband of a billionaire? Sarah saw the documents. She saw the emails to Mark. "Sarah, is that a scuff mark on the marble? It's a billionaire's penthouse, not a warehouse. Deal with it. I'm too busy being a genius to worry about dirt." Sarah stayed quiet, trapped between her loyalty and her terror. She could only watch the perfect lie unfold in that luxurious penthouse, waiting for a moment when the truth, like a massive storm, would finally break. The gold in their penthouse was simply a mask hiding a debt that was about to be paid, and she knew that moment was coming soon. Chloe's trip to Singapore was cut drastically short. The investor meetings that should have taken a week were condensed into a lightning-fast 2 days. The deals were sealed with a handshake, and now the billionaire CEO was coming home early. She felt a childish excitement, a desire to surprise Maxwell, to see the look on his face when she walked through the door. She was completely unaware of the deadly game being played in her absence. The private jet landed smoothly, and the limo whisked Chloe away from the private terminal, taking the familiar route to the penthouse. The car pulled up silently to the service entrance. Chloe dismissed the driver with a wave, eager to make her entrance unannounced. She stepped out, feeling the cool city air on her face, and was instantly intercepted. "Madam Chloe, you are back early." Sarah's face was a mask of sheer terror, her eyes wide with a distress that was impossible to ignore. Her hands were shaking as she clutched a dustcloth. The sudden fear radiating from her was like a splash of cold water, instantly dissolving Chloe's romantic mood. "Sarah, what is it? What's wrong? Where is Maxwell?" Sarah grabbed Chloe's arm, pulling her towards the shadows near the entrance to the staff wing. "You cannot go inside looking like that. Please, madam, you must listen to me.
He is inside, right now, with Mark. The mention of the rival's name hit Chloe like a physical blow. Mark was the competition, the man who lived to dismantle global innovations. Her shock instantly solidified into a terrifying calm. Mark is in my home? What are they doing, Sarah? Tell me everything. They are finalizing the account transfer. I know it. I saw him fetch his private tablet. They are working on the final step, madam. He is destroying the company right now. Your life savings, the business, all of it. Sarah explained that she had seen a flurry of frantic activity all morning, culminating in Maxwell preparing to move the final, catastrophic sum of money. If Chloe walked in now as the CEO, they would simply hide the evidence, lie, and claim they were discussing a merger. Chloe knew Sarah was right. Her sophisticated husband was a master of denial. Chloe looked at the terror in Sarah's eyes, and her chest tightened with a cold, powerful rage. She was not leaving until she had proof that could stand up in court. Undeniable proof. We won't give them the chance to lie. Chloe glanced down at her silk traveling suit, realizing her appearance as the CEO would only trigger a cover-up. She thought of the perfect, terrible way to reveal the truth. Get me a uniform, Sarah, now. Sarah, though confused, was too frightened to question the instruction. She rushed to a staff locker, pulling out a spare, simple black uniform and a plain apron. In the small, windowless staff room, the billionaire CEO quickly shed her expensive suit, her jewelry, and her status. She tied her long hair back tightly, pulling the simple maid's tunic over her head. The transformation was swift, silent, and absolute. The uniform was ill-fitting and plain, a stark contrast to the brilliant woman wearing it, but it was the perfect disguise. She was no longer Chloe, the master of the boardroom. She was now Ada, the new house cleaner. A terrifying calm settled over Chloe. She had built this empire with her mind and her money. She would save it with her sacrifice. Every ounce of her pride was swallowed by the steel-hard determination in her eyes. She was ready to walk into the heart of the betrayal and confront the thieves on her own territory.
Chloe, now wearing the ill-fitting, plain black uniform, walked out of the staff wing. She was no longer the CEO, she was Ada, the new help. Every step she took into her luxurious penthouse was an act of profound self-control. The living room, with its priceless artwork and custom furniture, was exactly as she had left it. It was her domain, and it was currently occupied by two corporate vultures. Maxwell and Mark were settled on the vast white leather sofa, both holding expensive tumblers of whiskey. They were relaxed, confident, and utterly oblivious. They looked like thieves celebrating a successful heist. "Ah, the help. Sarah, is that the new girl? She's slow." Sarah said quietly, just near the entrance. "Yes, sir. She's new. Ada." Mark waved a dismissive hand. "Maxwell, tell the maid to get us the vintage 98. The transfer is confirmed. This calls for a proper toast. And tell her to be quick about it." Chloe felt a violent clench in her jaw, but her face remained a blank mask. She calmly walked to the custom climate-controlled vault, retrieved the champagne, a bottle she herself had purchased, and returned to the lounge. She set the bottle on the table with silent efficiency. "Now that's better. You know, Maxwell, it's refreshing to see the servants know their place. You can really tell the quality of a home by the obedience of the staff. No wonder Chloe is so good with business. She's too stiff to enjoy life." Maxwell let out a loud, obnoxious laugh, nodding in agreement. "Exactly. She focuses on the boring details. I focus on the profits. Now that we have her IP, Global Innovations is toast. Mark, you owe me big time for this. Consider it done. Your slice of the new project is secured. And don't worry, your wife won't even realize the accounts are empty until the direct debits bounce. She's smart, but she's predictable." Chloe listened to the betrayal, every word a shard of glass in her heart, but she kept moving, picking up stray glasses. Her mind was a cold steel trap, recording everything. As she moved past the sofa, Mark intentionally slipped his glass, spilling a small amount of dark liquid onto the expensive white rug.
Oops, clumsy me. You, Ada, kneel down and clean that up before it stains. I don't pay enough attention to dirt. The request was deliberate, an act of sheer dominance over the help. Chloe's blood ran cold. This was the moment. The owner of the house, the billionaire CEO, was being ordered to kneel on her own property by the very thief trying to ruin her. Every fiber of her being screamed in protest. Her hands trembled, wanting to tear off the uniform and scream the truth. But she reminded herself, proof first, justice second. Swallowing every atom of her pride, Chloe slowly knelt on the floor. She took the rag and began scrubbing the spill. The act of kneeling felt like a profound physical assault. The wool of the rug was rough against her knees, a stark contrast to the luxurious silk she was accustomed to. She felt the insult deep in her bones, but she forced herself to focus on the voices above her, letting their arrogance be her fuel. "You know, the hardest part wasn't getting the codes," Maxwell confided, his voice slurring slightly from the champagne. "It was the initial seed money. I had to divert funds from the Singapore acquisition portfolio. She was so focused on the growth, she never checked the source." Mark leaned closer, his voice dropping slightly. "Did she sign off on the portfolio adjustment?" "No, she didn't," Maxwell bragged. A smug smirk twisted his face. "I forged the signature. It was child's play. The bank has been sending her notifications, of course, but she uses that old secretary, Mrs. Peterson, to filter her finance emails. Peterson is half blind. We've been safe for months." Chloe paused, pressing the cloth hard into the stain. Forgery. Blind secretary. The depths of his meticulous deceit shocked her, even though she knew he was capable of it. It wasn't just corporate theft, it was criminal fraud. "What about the patents?" Mark pressed. "Are the new quantum tech schematics completely clean?" "Perfectly clean," Maxwell assured him, waving his hand carelessly. "I copied the final source code last week. I even wiped the backups. The new tech, the stuff that was going to make Global a trillion-dollar company, it's yours, Mark. I'll take $50 million in cash now and a perpetual 5% royalty for the next 10 years. No records, all offshore." "That is a very good deal for a husband betraying his wife," Mark laughed, taking a large gulp of champagne. "I'll make sure the deposit hits your private Swiss account by midnight. Tonight, Maxwell, we celebrate the death of a naive empire builder." Chloe finished wiping the stain and stood up, placing the rag discreetly out of sight. The humiliation was complete, and so was the collection of evidence. Every word had been a gift, a clear map of their crime. "Ada, fetch my phone," Maxwell commanded, slapping his coat pocket. "It's in my coat pocket over there. I want to check the confirmation one last time before Mark leaves, and bring me another whiskey." Chloe, still silent, walked to the coat. She reached into the pocket, pulling out the expensive device. She felt the weight of the moment of no return. She knew his passcode, of course. She retrieved the device, feeling the weight of the moment. This was it. Chloe walked back into the center of the lounge, holding Maxwell's phone. The silence was heavy, broken only by the clinking of ice in their glasses. She did not hand him the device. Instead, she walked past him, moving toward the massive, wall-mounted display screen connected to the penthouse's smart hub. Maxwell frowned, annoyed. "Ada, what are you doing? Give me the phone." Chloe ignored him. With a few quick, silent taps on the screen, the phone's display was projected onto the colossal television. The screen instantly lit up, showing Maxwell's banking application. "What is this nonsense?" Mark demanded, rising from the sofa. Chloe's fingers flew across the screen. She located the pending transfer, the massive, illegal transaction that would gut Global Innovations. Her thumb hovered over the cancel button for a moment, then she pressed a different icon. Transaction lockdown. The screen flashed a brilliant, alarming red, accompanied by a sharp digital alert tone. The text appeared in enormous block letters. Transaction failed. Account locked by owner. Maxwell's glass slipped from his fingers, hitting the marble floor with a brittle, shattering sound. His mouth fell open, and his face instantly drained of color, turning a horrifying shade of white. He stumbled backward, his legs seeming to give out beneath him. Chloe slowly, deliberately removed the black apron. She untied the simple knot in her hair, letting the sophisticated curls fall around her shoulders. She met Maxwell's gaze. The CEO was back. "Chloe," he whispered, the name catching in his throat. It was not a greeting. It was a plea, a sound of utter panic. Mark stared from the elegant woman in the ill-fitting maid's uniform to the pale man collapsing on the floor, confusion etched across his face. "Wait, who is this maid, Maxwell?" "I am Chloe, the billionaire CEO who signs your paycheck, Maxwell. And as of 60 seconds ago, I am the sole person who signs for every penny in your life." She held up the phone, showing them not the banking app, but the emergency police dispatch notification. "The transfer failed, Mark, and the police are already on their way. I wore this uniform to hear you say it all out loud, to gather the undeniable proof needed for corporate espionage and fraud." Maxwell dropped to his knees, clutching at the air. "Chloe, please, I can explain. It was a mistake. Don't ruin me." "You ruined yourself," Chloe stated, stepping over his prostrate body to face Mark. "You have everything you need to know."
Mark, realizing the gravity of the situation, bolted for the door. The main entrance, however, opened just then, admitting 2 security officers who had been waiting outside. They immediately blocked Mark's exit and moved to cuff him. "You won't get away with this, Chloe. This will be a fight," Mark yelled. Chloe did not flinch. "I am not fighting for money, Mark. I am fighting for justice. And I always win." She looked down at Maxwell, who was weeping openly now, his facade completely broken. "You, Maxwell, were worried about ruining our marriage? You ruined yourself the moment you ordered the owner of this house to kneel and serve your co-conspirator. Please, Chloe, think of our years together. I will change. I swear it on my life," he begged, crawling after her. "The years together," Chloe said, her voice like ice, "were a lie you profited from. The change I require will be executed by a judge." She turned to the security officers. "Escort these 2 immediately. Maxwell, pack a small bag under supervision. You will not spend another night in my home." The security team led a frantic, pleading Maxwell and a stunned Mark out of the lounge. The space, moments ago filled with arrogant laughter, fell silent, broken only by the sound of the shattered glass. The penthouse was silent. The only sound was the faint, rhythmic whir of the ventilation system. Chloe watched until the lift doors closed, taking the 2 betrayers down to face the consequences. The weight of the uniform suddenly felt heavy, and she quickly took it off, tossing it onto a nearby chair. Her stern expression softened as she turned to Sarah, who was standing near the door, wiping tears of relief from her face. "Sarah, you were more than a maid. You were my eyes, and you gave me the courage to face the truth. Thank you." Sarah's lips trembled. "Madam, I only did what was right. I was scared, but I couldn't keep watching you live in deceit." "Now I will do what is right by you," Chloe said, a faint smile touching her lips. "You are officially the estate manager. I am doubling your salary immediately, and I'm establishing a trust fund for your children's education." Chloe embraced Sarah, the warmth of genuine loyalty replacing the coldness of betrayal. The billionaire CEO was standing strong on her own marble floor, the home and the empire, saved not by a corporate strategy, but by the fierce loyalty of one honest woman. The story of the billionaire CEO teaches us that no betrayal is safe from the truth. Lies, greed, and cheating always find their way to the surface, and sometimes the most powerful must adopt the most humble disguise to find the justice they deserve. This has been a story from Faith Tale by More.
Subscribe for more tales where lies are met with powerful justice.